And you just need to ask, everyone's wanting to know, um, you're married now. No one's getting any younger. When's that baby popping out? Huh? When's you gonna have that baby? I want that baby. Give me that Love is Blind baby.
We sent you the email, Vanessa. You saw it. We told you that you can't have our baby. We're not having a baby.
Well, listen, Zach. I have an obstetrician right here, ready to see if you're pregnant or not. Right now, she's back there in the room. Would you commit to an exam right now, Bliss, to see if you're pregnant? I need a baby. I need to know if it's pregnant. In fact, it smells like pregnancy in here.
I told you when you sent us flowers day after day after day asking for our baby, you can't have our baby. We're not having a baby right now.
Micah, I know that you and Paul are not together, but would you have a baby for me? If I sent you away in a convent and impregnated you, could I have your baby? I want the first Love is Blind baby. And I want to know what everyone's woman's uterus looks like, because that's where I am today.
Would you film it?
I want it.
Vanessa Lachey wants a baby, y'all.
This was unhinged. It got to the point where it was annoying, even though we kind of said it'd be nice if Tiffany and Brett had the first Love is Blind baby. This felt really, really gross after the fourth mention.
You know what it felt like to me? It felt like, because, hello, this is a Love is Blind reunion.
It's the reunion. It's a Love is Blind reunion. You bitches wanted it so bad.
I enjoyed it way more than I thought I would.
I thought it was, I'm going to take it back. It wasn't boring. It was disappointing for me for a couple reasons.
I had some disappointing moments, but I love some moments that I didn't expect. And because we're recording this on Thursday, so y'all been talking all about this reunion, and most of the consensus is most of you thought it was boring. I did not think it was boring.
We were not going to change our recording schedule. That's why this is coming on Thursday or Friday, because they fucked up. So
they fucked up.
Anyway, what were you saying about the baby stuff?
So people had talked about that. They're like, why does Vanessa shut up? And so they were talking a little bit about the baby. And I went, well, this isn't that bad. She's just kind of mentioning the baby. But then I think it became home talk almost. It almost was like the way someone who knew you really well, your family member, would talk to you about having a baby. And that's not the relationship that they have with Vanessa Lachey on a television show. It felt so, I was like, all right, we get it. Like, we need them.
It's the relationship you have with your annoying aunt.
Yeah, it was. And at least that's Aunt Jane asking you when you're going to have a baby. Not that that's right.
But it wasn't just one couple. It was like three of them. It got to a point.
Yeah, I don't know why it was a point.
Why are you so interested in their reproductive habits? I went from being like, oh, come on, Vanessa, to disturbed to this is gross.
It was a lot.
Because with all the issues that a lot of women have, regardless of their age, with fertility, family planning, whether they want kids or not, none of these women want to handle this on. If this was supposed to be live, none of these women want to answer these questions on television. It was bad.
It was. I didn't. That was the ickiest part of the whole reunion for me. Well, that and the 30-second apology for the 2 hours we were all waiting.
That really was a non-apology.
Yeah, I wanted a little more.
They kept saying we broke the internet. No, your infrastructure shut down. You broke.
It did. They try to say, that said, we love our relationship with Netflix, and we're so happy we got this show early.
The PR department loves us.
Yeah.
No one else does.
Oh, they never messaged me back about going to the event. I would have gone, but that's fine.
Yeah. They were embarrassed how you would act.
Natalie was there too, and Nancy. I would have fanned them all over.
We're nobody.
Yeah, for sure.
But finally, y'all, we're doing this. Overall opinions. You said I think you did like this more than me. That's no shock. You like most things more than me.
That's no shock. I actually, because they're getting a lot of hate. until the whole baby thing, actually, again, I really liked Vanessa Lachey as a host. I thought she kind of went after some of them and kind of, I appreciated the talk of like everything that was talking about on social media. They brought it up. She would look at people's reactions and call them and say, "You just had a reaction when they said that." I liked all that.
Maybe. I didn't like how it was selective.
Now, do I think she
How
showed favoritism? I do think there was some favoritism. Yeah.
I I can't get over that. I think she shit the bed on this reunion.
Oh,
I
really?
think I think it's you can't ignore it anymore. I think
Mhm.
people who are going to be on future franchises, i.e., I'm putting on tinfoil hattie already.
Oh, here she comes.
She's the conspiracy theory drag queen. It's tinfoil hattie. How about
Eh,
birds who don't? Her birds aren't real. I just had a conversation with Jimmy Hoffa the other day. He's alive.
he's alive.
Um, Here's the problem. I think she is preparing both Jackie and Micah to go on Perfect Match or other iterations of the show. She was extremely rough with Paul and softball questions to Jackie and Josh.
Mm. I think I do agree with the softball questions for Jackie and Josh too. Paul, I didn't mind that. I kind of liked it. Because the way, I mean, we'll talk about when he gets into specifics of it. Paul, I didn't mind, but Jackie, I mean, it was such like, I would almost, if Jackie isn't going to show up to the reunion, then don't interview her at all. I almost wish, like, what's the point?
Tinfoil Hattie has a theory. I think they thought she was too much of a loose cannon, and I think she would go off on Marshall. I don't think they decided she was not ready for prime time or live TV.
Oh, you think?
I think so. Think about it.
Would you prefer this like virtual conversation before, or would you prefer, like, would you rather have this or nothing at all? What would you prefer?
What do you mean virtual? You mean
Like, I would
interview?
rather
The pre-taped
either
interview.
have them on the show or don't have them at all.
No,
Don't do this
because
pre-taped one.
Marshall can't face anything. He has
Yeah.
no. That Marshall got the shortest shrift, and she went
Yeah.
after Marshall, but did not address anything that Jackie said. I thought it was the sense of Libra fairness in me was losing its shit the whole reunion.
The whole reunion.
And yeah, Jackie's with Josh right now, but y'all, she's gonna show up on Perfect Match season 3. We all know that. Jackie and Micah both. Jackie is made for reality TV, even though she probably needs to get a psych consult.
Well, she said she needs to go to therapy. That's the question I wish she would ask. When you said, Jackie, you said you need to go to therapy. What did you?
Sweetie, they're not interested in that. They're not interested in hearing about that. That is, boy, that's wishful thinking. But I'm going to talk about that later, about how what Vanessa chose to focus on and ignore, to me, completely was hinted at what she wants for the future of the franchise, and that's despicable for me. I don't think that's being a good interview. I don't think they are good hosts. I think we need to cut them loose. It's bad.
I can see the favorite, but I didn't mind her as much. Yeah, I didn't. I still like that she comes at it from a fan perspective. Nick Lachey, I don't know why he's there.
But if you come at it from a brand perspective, should that be a host? Because a host is trying to provide some type of discourse.
Mm-hmm.
And if she's only giving you one side of it, how is that being a good host?
Mm-hmm.
See what I mean?
No, I see what you mean. Again, with Jackie, we'll talk about it. I kind of appreciate it. This reunion helped me, and maybe I was just swayed, but I saw Paul in a little bit of a different light. But
did you think it was was Slapgate real? Was Ass Slap real?
No, I don't think it was after watching
I don't think
the
so
video.
either. Yeah.
Yeah. I do think Paul's outfit being offensive was real. What the fuck was he wearing? But with those short jean shorts, capri pants, with his legs showing, when everybody else,
I was kind of into it.
Everyone else is dressed like they look like they go
I
to the
know.
Oscars.
I
He looks
know.
stupid.
I agree. I was kind of into the pants though.
His face looked real pretty. I'll give him that.
Here's the Paul. We're going to talk about this. There were several things Vanessa Lachey would not drop. And it was between Marshall and Paul that she felt like she was trying to get at like some type of interviewer. And here's the thing, y'all, they thought this was live, so they're not going to say anything. These were
No, they filmed
PR
this.
answers.
They filmed this when it wasn't live. She started
But
the
I'm
show and said we're not live.
Still, but I'm saying they're so concerned with their social media and how they appear on television.
Oh, for sure. I don't. It was because social media was talked about so much, and really, the villain they want you to they want you to almost believe that the villain of Love Is Blind is social media. That's the edit they wanted to give you from this reunion. But what I feel like the producers.
Okay.
Producers only want you to see that the villain of all the reunion is social media. And what I took from it, I think
the villain's production.
I think the villain's production and the way they edited this show.
I want to just say this: 3 things that I'm overview things. Everyone was way too guarded. Everyone has seen the show before and they've seen people go on. Everyone was giving word salad answers.
I also think
Kwame.
I also think when you have a reunion that's in front of a live audience,
that's a bad idea.
It's a bad idea. They should have done it closed, just again where people felt it was comfortable just themselves.
Because Arena was basically the villain puppet in the puppet show. People basically threw tomatoes at her.
She deserved them.
There was one thing when they announced Arena was going to be there, and people went boo, and one woman went ah, like an exotic bird.
Good. You know what? I got to say though, good for Arena for going. And we have the Christine Quinns of the world. We have the Jackies that don't show up.
Arena could never be Christine. But you're right.
But we just saw that's dropping. Did you see?
May 17th. It's already on the schedule. Or May 19th, I think.
We just had a trailer for it, though. Did you watch?
Yep. Oh, yeah.
It's good.
Mm-hmm. So, 2 new women.
Yeah.
One of them looks like a dark-haired Christine. And for a minute, I said, is that Christine in a long black wig?
She dyed her hair.
And what if it's Christine as Christine's sister?
I would love it.
Days
and
of
then
Our
halfway
Lives.
through the season, she just rips her face off and it's Christine. I'm here for that. Here for it.
The woman's name is Bree. Maybe that's I'm Christine's sister, but I was separated from my sister for a long time.
And here for it.
Halfway through, it's real that it's actually Christine playing her sister. Like Vanessa Hudgens in that movie.
Yes. Y'all are going to get that. That's a show actually on the $5 tier. So you get it. It's so good.
But going back to my overview, this idea that they kept saying, Chelsea and a couple of the others said, that's the narrative that we weren't selling. And I went, and that's when the show was good for me. When the cast members said, we're standing up for this.
That's what I really liked about it. Yeah.
And that's not something I saw coming. And almost everyone, except for Tiffany and Brett, who are going to be in, they're like icons now with that show. They're going to be in everything. I think a lot of people referenced it. They weren't happy. And I don't think Kwame and Chelsea were happy. I don't think Zach and Bliss. I think Zach is a very no bullshit kind of person. Yeah. And Bliss too. Neither of them were really happy with how things, and also what Zach was talking about with how Paul was shown. And they're like, what you saw with Micah.
Mm-hmm.
They were defending it.
Mm-hmm.
So
even Arena threw the edit under the bus as well.
Well, she was going to.
But I believed her when she said it. I believed her.
But then they also said, I think it was Zach and someone else said, you don't even know what you said. You only saw 10% of what happened.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm not saying excuse her. I believed her. And And I appreciated like Vanessa Lachey saying to her, like, yeah, but you're saying this, but you're rolling your eyes and doing all, come on, your actions. So yeah, Arena, I get out the tomatoes, y'all, because you're right. They were flying, roasted.
Um,
Before we jump in, I gotta say, the makeup artist did these women right. All of their makeup
Chelsea looks
looked
so much better.
all of their makeup looked fantastic.
Yeah,
I was happy. I think Micah's eyelashes are still too long. I do.
yeah.
But her makeup was glorious.
I think Bliss looked the best to me. Um,
I thought Chelsea did.
because it was just most improved.
Yeah. Yeah, I think because that makeup artist did her makeup really well.
The little hair tendrils are a little dated for me. That was maybe the rage like 5
I
7
don't
years
even
ago.
remember the hair. I was just staring at the makeup.
The hair tendrils right
I
here.
think we liked most of the dresses when we talked about this on the live watch. Thank you all, by the way, for 1,500 of you that joined us.
Yeah. I loved Tiffany's dress when I saw it on. I just loved Bliss's how she was matching with Zach.
Mhm.
Zach got puffy, y'all, but it still kind of works for me. He's the one I could see myself with. He is the one after all of it.
It is funny how they changed so much.
The thing is, did they?
Well,
Did they change?
from what we saw.
Exactly.
It was always because I'll be honest, I have we always say, what do reunions or tell-alls do? They have two functions. They have to either enlighten us with new information, give us a different perspective, or they have to resolve something. I walked away from this and I was fucking hard on them. Like shifted. I walked away from this, believing that Kwame and Chelsea actually love one another and are actually in a relationship, like that they both want to be in. I was not in that camp.
I agree that they are in a relationship. I don't know how checked in he is. And for her, it still seems extremely one-sided. Now, to me, I think the way he appears on camera is like he's still trying to sell us something. And it is off-putting still for I think a lot of people. I know for me. Do you know what? I'm more apathetic to it now. There was no warmth for either of them. Do I believe they're in a relationship? Great. Do I think they love each other? I don't care. That sounds awful.
I think there was no warmth because they do not trust this show. I don't think Chelsea or Kwame. I wouldn't have said this before. I'll be surprised if they do other stuff with Love Is Blind. Maybe they will, but I feel like you were right. They were not a fan of their edit of the show, and I don't think
Absolutely
they were
not
happy with it at all.
Well, I think what they noticed, and we mentioned this in our that their edit had to be the most kind of drastically altered from reality because the Tiffany Brett was a sure thing, and they couldn't have two sure things.
They couldn't have two sure things, yeah.
So of course they were upset.
Yeah.
But I don't know if their relationship is real or if they love one another because I never saw it. I never really saw it. So I still find him extremely hard to read. Even in this thing where he was being most himself, I think he's extremely aware of how he's being perceived. He had a lot of word salad comments here. Even though I loved it when he apologized to Chelsea's family for seeing some of that stuff, it still felt the more Vanessa pressed him, he got more and more word salady. But I guess they don't trust the show anymore. So I guess it makes sense. But I wonder if we'll ever know him.
I
don't know. Everyone else kind of, with the exception, I think we kind of know a little more who Paul is. I think Paul lives by absolutes. And I think probably the camp, we didn't really ever get a chance to see him because I don't think he was very vulnerable in the show.
I think he came across in this tell-all. I got it from him. I went, oh, Paul is much. We kind of saw a little bit. I think in the edit they gave him a warmer, like sense of self. Whereas on the reunion, he came off. I don't know if it's because he was upset with the edit or not, but he just seemed so cold
Hmm. I
in this
think
reunion.
I think he was there. I think he had already steeled himself because of what the heat he was going to get. I think he
Mhm.
already knew.
But I don't know why he thought he was going to get heat when Micah was really kind of a villain.
I think he still feels extremely guilty for doing
Yeah.
that. Even though he says, the funniest thing is a lot of what he said, I didn't disagree with. That's
Mhm.
the other issue. Do you think Micah would be a nurturing mother?
From what we saw, no.
I think that was a trigger for Vanessa, and that's why she went after it so hard. I guarantee you, and what that also feels like, because sometimes women, especially women who want to have families who are in the business world or corporate world, they're like, "You're not very nurturing," and she was triggered by that.
I agree. I think she probably was triggered by that, but I also think that, and we'll talk about it. I think uh I do kind of I agreed with Micah on some of that too. So what the points that she
That
made to him.
that she should have, that you should have told me that.
It's called saying what you this idea where Paul said, "Well, some things you don't have to tell someone, you should." And I went, "No, it's expressing your need. Like saying
Well,
what you want in a partner. That's called being an adult."
what he said, I agree with you. What he did say is, I can't make her change for me, which
Mhm.
is talking out of both sides of your mouth.
Yeah, that's
Um,
exactly. Paul was talking out both sides of his mouth. So
but
that's why I don't that talking out both sides of your mouth, that's why I agree with you. Vanessa got triggered, but that's why I didn't mind that she came hard for Paul because I felt like he was bullshitting us a little bit.
yeah, I I think if you're gonna be triggered as a host, that's gonna be a problem. That's where I am with it. I think if you're going to be triggered with other people, I need to see it other places. It doesn't feel fair to me.
And I don't
Um,
know though if that's again, I don't know if that's Vanessa Lachey's problem or if it's this show's problem. That I think the main thing that I took from this is this show, like you've talked about before, is so meticulously edited and it's shown in such a tight narrative
yeah,
and the focus of it is so narrow that reunions I don't know why my phone rang. I put it on but reunions are especially it'd be interesting to see because I'm sure they cut some stuff because this wasn't live. So I'm sure they edited it before because they didn't put this out till like 24 hours before the
yeah,
show aired.
yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see what other cast members went off about talking about. I feel like the cast members wanted to broaden our worldview of this show, this very
Right.
narrow show.
What? Why do you think they wanted to do it live? I speculated on
I think because it
on our
brings
quote unquote live, not live.
I think because live means, again, what's old is new again. Now live is an event. Now being
Right.
live is it creates event television. I think.
Right.
What do you think?
No, the same. And I think I said on our live watch that I think Netflix thought they wanted a little piece of Sunday because y'all they've been dropping these on Friday streaming, and even HBO drops things Sunday morning now or Sunday at midnight. Or actually, sometimes you do have to watch some of them streaming. I believe like um, some shows air early, but some air that evening. But it's I think they wanted a little bit of prestige television
Yeah.
and on Sunday, and I think it was a disaster.
Yeah.
and and I think I don't think that the live reunion implied. I don't think we would have gotten anything if it was live. Anything more than we got.
Maybe I don't
I
know.
don't know.
Maybe some people would have said some stuff that they couldn't cut. I'm sure it was probably on a feed or like a
Oh, I'm
30-second
sure.
delay or something. But still,
So let's that's more overview. Um, Shall we go in?
Yes. So again, this goes back to yes. Do I think I agree with people? I think Vanessa Lachey is favorites. You know what I think actually? Why I didn't mind Vanessa Lachey? I like her. Um, is I think it's not on her. I think it's on the show showing favoritism to couples and narratives. And the point being is what was the biggest point of Kwame and Chelsea's relationship was he didn't know if he wanted to move to Seattle, and we were so pissed off about it. Yet
And it was
Tiffany's
never brought up.
Tiffany's just going to move to Portland because that's where Brett lives.
Yep. Yep.
Never brought. So to me, that right there when that started, I went, "Oh, okay."
So
that's a big fucking deal.
I'm going to push you on this. Do you see Vanessa Lachey as an arm of the show?
I do.
So if the show itself is editing in a certain way, is she acting as a political arm of the show?
I feel it's just like Andy
advocate?
Cohen. Andy Cohen's a producer of the Reunion Housewives, and she's involved in it. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know how fair she can be then, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't think they want her to be fair. I don't think Andy Cohen wants to be fair. You know, they want to get a good show of the show.
He
they
would
want to
argue with you there, but
he would.
Yeah,
he would. But we've watched him. You know.
Yeah.
Like how remember we used to get so upset how he would just let Catherine Dennis off the hook.
I totally agree. Yeah. I think he's a terrible interviewer. I've gone on record many times about that. Mostly because I think he treats his subjects like shit. I do think he has a sense of fairness when it comes to he needs to give it to everybody in the room.
Yeah. What was your reaction when you found out Brett lived in Portland? Which makes sense because that's where Nike is.
You know, I stopped
outside of Portland.
I kind of stopped. They're fine for me, but I kind of went, that wasn't brought up because I guess we couldn't have 2 people or 3 people who needed to move. I think it was convenient for the show.
Yeah.
I think all these questions about what I asked you a question is Vanessa Lachey an arm of the show? I think that is a really dangerous slope that I'm not ready to think about, because then I have to call into question everything she asks. That's where I was saying. If she's, as a producer, is she only trying to advocate for the people who are later in the franchise? So I wouldn't trust her at all.
Mm-hmm.
Andy Cohen also is not a producer of a lot of the shows he does the things anymore, the tell-alls. The reunions, I should say. Always.
He's just there in name.
He's not producer of all of them.
Yeah. His name's on all of them, I thought, as executive producer, but maybe it's just their name.
Never has been.
No, I'm talking about Housewives. Housewives.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Shall we get into Tiffany and Brett? Y'all, they're fine. They're fine. Everything's great. Marshall
does credit himself. We get a little bit of that of Marshall saying, you know, he's the one that told Brett, like, this is your person. I know she is.
I think there was 10 minutes on this reunion about
Tiffany.
That. Maybe 7. And I think, is that a good thing? Maybe. I think they're fine. And I think it was very fraughtless. For them, which is a wonderful thing. Sometimes relationships should be.
Yeah.
They've never really have been for me, but who's to say that's not good? Anyway, Chelsea and Kwame. Let's just move on.
Sure. Yeah, there's not much about Tiffany and Brett. We love them.
They brought up this engagement photo shoot, and I think it's still laughable that this kind of underwear, we're both Calvin Klein fans. And I'm thinking, if someone had been talking to me about Calvin Klein and the pods, I'm like, next.
I mean, I agree. I think it's a weird thing. But again, I went, but you both had a whole date in the pods in your underwear, and she gave you underwear. Why didn't y'all show this?
I know. It would have made more sense.
It would have made more sense. And we're already seeing, like, Chelsea has a great body. Kwame has a good body, like it's sex appeal. People are going to enjoy. And I wrote here when they said this, even before the rest of even before they actually brought it up, when they wrote this, I went, "Oh, holy fuck! Did they get a bad edit?"
Oh yeah, I don't know if their edit was. I think if you say good or bad, I think it was definitely misleading, extremely misleading for
Well,
a
bad edit
reason.
for them. I say bad
Yeah,
edit for them. Yeah.
but it's interesting. I think if you have to obsess over your love of Calvin Klein,
I
who
don't get
are
it.
you?
I
Who
don't
are
get
you
it.
as a person? How narrow is your focus?
I don't get it.
Jesus. Maybe
I
you
don't
are
get it.
made for each other.
But that was the day Kwame knew she was the one.
When you said that, I was like, okay, I guess that's where our perspectives are.
And then they talk about underwear gate, and then let's just show a clip where Chelsea and Micah had a conversation about the most
I cannot,
controversial thing in the show.
I cannot believe they did not air this.
This is this
I was furious
this is
here.
why after these two things back to back, I went, "Oh, I totally believe this relationship now, 100%." I was edited to not see it.
Yeah.
So let's talk about their chat. We saw it.
It's weird. I don't know if those things are exclusive that I believe it anymore because I don't know what's real.
Yeah, that's true.
So they're basically talking about, and I think Micah is saying, I am so sorry that this happened. I want to be friends with you. I want to put everything under the bridge. And later on, while they are pooping their tiny dogs,
Yes.
and later on, Vanessa's like, so after you saw the pool conversation, Chelsea, what did you think? She's like, oh, I was pissed because it was much worse than I thought.
Yeah.
But she's like, but it's okay because Micah and I has a resolution, our resolution, and Kwame, the night of the pool, of the pool conversation, had a really long conversation, and that's over. And Vanessa was like, okay.
It made me wonder, like, Chelsea could have a degree in PR because she was able to end that conversation quick. I was shocked when
Everyone went, okay.
Okay. We're done here.
And later on, Chelsea basically says, well, it was kind of immature comments that Micah was making, and she's definitely grown a lot. This is the thing. I really think they wanted the way they were asking questions. And this is why I question Vanessa coming so hard on the men. I think some of the questioning was trying to make the girls turn on each other. They really were setting that up.
Mm-hmm.
And it never seemed to happen.
I think the show wanted us to believe and see that Micah and Chelsea, would have a fight. But the deal is Chelsea's not that type of girl.
It's interesting. You keep saying the show, and I see Vanessa and Nick as the show, and them as the same people.
I mean her. I mean the show.
Yeah.
I mean both of
Right.
I'm saying the show is in production and all of them.
I guess to me it's a little bit of cognitive dissonance to.
Because I feel like saying just Vanessa and Nick, you're saying that just them as hosts without any production involvement.
I'm talking about what the questions they're asking.
Mm-hmm.
The questions that they were asking the women were to get the women to fight.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That exclusively the reunion, not production.
But I'm saying that I say yes and. I think yes, the Lachey's asked them, but I think production is saying these are the line of questioning. Then they talked about what they want them to ask for sure.
I guess I imagine that they're all the same.
Yeah, I am too. Like I think, like you said, it's like
everyone's on the same team.
Yeah, the show and the Lachey's are on the same team.
That's what I'm saying.
How do we get the best show? Yes, for them. Who cares? Who cares about the collateral damage of all of these people?
Right.
But that's reality TV.
Going on, that's when Kwame kind of apologizes for. He even says, "I'm so sorry, baby, for all of that." And there was this. That's when it gets more and more word salady, and then there was this whole thing about who was going to break up with Kwame. Like Chelsea said, Micah's like, I'm going to go break up with her right now. But then Kwame saying, I'm going to break up with Micah. And neither Chelsea or Kwame broke. And it was almost like neither one of them bit. And the questions were leading towards it.
Yeah, Kwame said he had a breakup note in his notebook.
And they refused to say, they're like, yeah, that wasn't our narrative. And it was this moment where it was a little tense, and you could just tell the Lacheys both went, okay, we're not getting anywhere with this.
Yeah.
That's why it felt a little adversarial to me the whole time. I don't think any of them really wanted to be there except for Tiffany and Brett. I didn't think Zach and Bliss wanted to be there. Paul and Micah definitely didn't want to be there.
No, for sure.
Marshall was kind of there as a PR thing.
Irina wanted to be there. She always wants to be there, y'all.
And Chelsea and Kwame were on a lot of Xanax. It felt like.
I think that you know what I do? I did feel for them. I bet that they watched this show and went, again, they probably went into very naively of thinking, well, they probably thought they were going to get, I think they thought they were going to be a Tiffany and Brett edit. Cause I think that's what in some ways, that's what they experienced. And they watched this show and went, holy fuck, that's not us at all, which happens to everybody on reality TV.
I think theirs might have been, I'm just speculating, theirs might have been the most divergent from their story. From how it was.
You said, like in our second to last episode, we started seeing the signs. You said, I think they are the most massaged storyline. And I said, I realized on like episode 8, they never showed us any good moments between them.
You're right.
Whereas the last part of the season, we only saw good moments between Micah and Paul.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
The one point, that's when they said every single conversation that Kwame had with Micah after Mexico was pushing a narrative that wasn't ours. And Chelsea just kind of smiled, and I went, ooh, and I was like, Ed Harris for the Truman Show, cue the thunderstorms.
I mean, really, they went,
cue, oh, Truman's about to get out.
We should say that, and I can't remember who, but we should say, I think Danielle, a lot of even previous members of Love's Blind's getting a lot of heat right now because a lot of previous cast members are coming out and talking about how terrible the conditions are on the show, that they have sometimes that they're exhausted, they're tired, that some people said they had to be up for like 20 hours. Danielle said that she wanted to leave the show, Danielle and Nick, and they convinced her not to. I know that sounds terrible. Maybe I've lived in LA too long. I don't really feel bad for any of these people because I'm like, what do you expect? You're going on a fucking reality show. But I guess if you're not from LA and you don't know what that is, it's surprising to you.
I think you do wind up feeling a little bit like a prisoner. I don't want that for anybody. And it seems like you shouldn't have to do anything. What I think people have a hard time with is trying to recreate something that's not your life. Yeah. And I think that after a while, that wears on people.
Yeah.
Shall we move on a little bit to? Oh, there was one thing they talked about Kwame's sister that some people thought she was a paid actress.
She's real.
And Chelsea has met her mother and his mother, and they've been to Thanksgiving, welcomed her with open arms. And I liked him when Vanessa's like, yeah, Brenda's real. And someone went, Barbara. And I'm like, you're not helping the rumors, Vanessa.
You're not helping.
Brenda's was his real sister's name.
It was real. It's interesting how the show wants to talk about how kind of social media is kind of the villain per se in some ways, but then why talk about
their lifeblood?
But no, I was going to say, lifeblood. Why talk about it so much? Why bring up? And that's just, I think, what we're having now. If I was a producer of this, I don't know if I would bring up all the things that were said on social media and all that, because I
wouldn't either.
Then you're giving your narrative power to people that aren't producing their show. You're giving it to internet trolls. And so I know I enjoyed hearing Vanessa say that, and it's as a listener and a podcaster, it's validating because I think maybe for some of us we watch that and go, oh, they see us, but y'all, we're not a part of this show. We're
No,
just viewers.
I think it's a catch-22 because if you don't address it, people's like, they didn't even address that thing that when Paul slapped that girl's ass.
Let them
Or
address it on social media. Keep it on the
I
platform it
totally
originates
agree with
on.
you.
That's what I would have done.
I think they bowed to some trolls.
I think they bowed to trolls. Yeah.
I think that's probably, I think both Nick and Vanessa are probably more social media savvy or care about social media than the rest of production. So I think they probably wanted to address it.
Yeah.
But I just, when she said, "We love you, Brenda," they're like, "It's Barbara." I cackled.
It's pretty funny.
Zach,
All right. Let's talk
Bliss.
about Jake's going to get on Zach's dick. Now,
Okay, y'all, they showed them dancing to "I Hope You Dance" and everyone watching. I don't know if you saw Trixie and Katya's version of this
no.
on We Love to Watch. But they were talking about, they're like, that when it was like when they first saw this song called "I Hope You Dance," and they just went, "What?" And they're like, "Are you a Christian soccer mom in Nebraska 11 years ago?" We said similar things. We're like, "How old is that song?"
It's very old. I think there's a deal with Leanne Womack. Even when Zach talks about, he quotes Leanne like she's his friend.
I still can't believe they got the rights to that song. They paid for it.
They did.
Y'all, that's like getting blood out of Netflix. Getting rights out of Netflix is like getting blood out of a turnip.
It's true.
And it's not a cheap song. It could not have been cheap.
Zach says it's a metaphor for them because the mountains in the distance, and when you come close to running out, reconsider. He reconsidered.
You know what? At first he was like, "It's a metaphor." I'm like, "Oh, here we go." And he started talking. It was like, holy shit, it kind of is.
Well, like
and
Irina
he chose
said,
the path of least resistance.
As Irina said, he's an attorney. He's good with his words.
Least resistance. That's what they called me in college.
No, there goes no resistance. Yeah. No resistance.
Leanne Womack wrote a song about me, boys. And that's when we had the first. That's when we had the first. When are you gonna have a baby? I want to see your uterus.
We did have that. So let's talk about Irina and Micah. Now, Irina first comes on and she goes to talk and she starts to cry. She's like, "I'm sorry," and people in the audience laugh. Now, I'm gonna say this.
I chuckled too.
No, I did too, but these aren't people that are fans. I think these are just people that work at Netflix that are in the audience.
Like, oh, really?
Yeah, these weren't.
I wondered how they got the audience for it.
But I'm saying even people at the network are laughing at her.
Yes, you know why? I don't think no one should be publicly humiliated on television, except for Gwyneth Paltrow, repeatedly. That no one really deserves that because it's really, really bad. But it did feel like she did so many things that were so hurtful on television that it did feel like that was earned a little bit.
No, well, it was earned because everything she said was 100% total bullshit. Except for I agree with her. I believe her when she talked about having the anxiety attack.
Yeah.
And that she saw, and it was a gut feeling. It was about the way he looked. She didn't want to say that. Yeah. Or she wouldn't have kept talking about his blinking eyes. So, but she tried to say it was this gut feeling. But I believe her that she probably had a panic attack and they said, let's just have a conversation in Mexico, go to Mexico. But for her to act like poor Irina was forced into this situation. Like, no, Zach said she wanted to be famous.
Let's also be clear. Bitch was coached on what to see and what to say. She had a crisis team.
She called someone a PR for sure.
Yeah, had to. Because she basically say her first statement, y'all, was, "My intention wasn't to hurt people. My impact did." That Irina never could have come up with that.
No,
That was
never.
written for her
Maybe she called
by
Lindsay.
Zach in PR.
Or maybe it was, "Who's Tracy?" Maybe she
Yeah,
hired her
Lindsay.
PR. She hired Lindsay.
I
I'd
just
hire
also
Lindsay for
I also
PR.
want to say she kind of looked amazing in that
She
black
looked great.
dress.
I think
Uh,
all the women looked really good.
Michelle Snark from Bloody Days said she wore black because they fucking buried her.
They did.
I'll give her that. So she's like, I've privately apologized to everyone. Look how I wrote. I forgot one of my notepads. Look how I wrote this. You can see.
Oh,
It looks like a manifesto some crazy person scrawled on a piece of paper in prison.
wow.
It's like tiny writing. They're like symbols.
He's just one step closer, y'all. God help me.
It's my enemies list.
What did Zach post on his Instagram? Because he
I
said
don't know.
you should see my Instagram today. I can look. Here, you can keep talking.
Okay, I'll keep talking. So, Irina basically says it's painful. That's the things that I'm left with on our journey. And Nick basically asked Bliss, "What did you think about this?" She's like, "Well, I was shocked, and I really hope you grow from this, Irina." And she's like, "It's sad to see someone so wonderful," talking about Zach, "treated so poorly, and the audience applauds wildly like she was just Oprah."
They do. They do.
It was, and later on, Vanessa's like, "Do you, Zach? Do you think she took your relationship seriously?" And no. And Arena's like, "Well, it hurts to hear that. How can she even? How can she even try to argue that she was serious?" Anyway,
I don't know. I'm
um,
looking to. So I'm not going to read it all.
get on mic.
No, I'm not going to read it all because it's quite long. I don't understand why it's receipts, but um, he just says on the first, it's a carousel, as Caitlin calls it. So you swipe, and it's
Put
titled
on a carousel.
it's titled the receipts. Um,
Oh,
and it says basically, if there's anything you can remember about me, this is what I hope you remember. I believe all life is redeemable, and the one thing we all need is grace. Warning: the following story discusses the topic of mental illness and suicide. So just kind of glancing, it's all about
Jesus.
his mother. It's all
Got
about
it.
her suicide. I don't know why he needs to put receipts to that. I'd have to read the whole thing, but that is what he posted.
Did we know that she died by suicide on the show?
I don't think we did.
Okay. Maybe I just don't remember.
But what does that have to? I'm confused. What does that have to do with anything? Were people saying his mother?
I think he was just. We'll have to look later on.
Okay, yeah.
We
I'm
know she
confused by
was
that.
not with us. But she basically, Arena's like, "It was wrong for me to do this," and she's talking in this way, and she's like, "I treated you so poorly. I belittled you. It was truly one of my. It was truly very hard to see it." And Nick's like, "Well, Zach, do you believe this?" And then, y'all, do you remember that if you watch the Prime series on Lord of the Rings, when Mordor, the flames of Mordor came and like blew the skin off people and they were just bones?
Yeah.
That's what Zach did to Arena just then. And
He
he did
leveled
it
her.
in the kindest possible way.
Y'all, I bet he's a great attorney.
Oh, he went, "Irina, you hurt a lot of people, including me. And you just trust me, and you only saw 10% of it on camera. So much happened, and if we're real, you went on this show to get famous. Insert audience gasp.
Yeah.
But I forgive you. Audience soul in silence. Bliss, I do too. Zach, so many people wanted to attack this cast. Don't you agree that it's all punishment enough?"
Well, punishment enough for us to have our embarrassment and mistakes seen by the world.
And everyone went, and Arena was like,
But
just
that's where this narrative started. That
yeah.
honestly, and maybe I don't know how you feel about this. I'm sorry, y'all. Maybe I'm just too jaded. I don't have sympathy for people that go on reality shows in 2023 and are upset that the edit didn't make them look good, or that I think I just am like, sorry. We reality television has been around for years. If you are going around saying this show just manipulated our experience, everybody, I feel like everybody knows that. I just don't. I'm saying I
Here,
like them and it sucks, but I don't feel sorry for any of them. Not
here's
one of
where I
them.
would. Here's where I would. I think that Love Is Blind puts itself in a different category of
I
reality
believe it
shows.
tries to say that like we're this, yeah, do we say yes or go away forever? Or this
Yeah,
whole
I think they're trying to say, because the stakes are so high, like shows like The Bachelor this way. They are the height of where everything that happens is serious. Everything that happens is real. And they are part of that. If this was 90 Day Fiance, even 90 Day Fiance is kind of in that same vein. Housewives, stuff like that, it is not. There is a certain comedy with which things are done. Um, uh, Other shows like that, I think this show takes itself too seriously for that, and I think that people who go on this show, they do want to find love. So I don't know if I can agree with you there. I don't
yeah.
know if they should feel like. I think they should feel like the show told their story well, especially if they're going on it with an earnest feeling. Otherwise, if the show's just going to make fun of them, that's really really awful karmically.
I just think
Um,
it's I think it's naive to think
I,
that a
I
reality show is going to tell your story instead of telling the riveting
Is
story.
it naive? Yes. Is it fair? Absolutely not.
No, I never said it was fair.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that
Um,
that I don't know. I got to that's one thing in this um this reunion. I just was kind of like, okay. But yeah,
so
I see that.
after he shreds her completely and the skin drops off of her bones,
Flip flop.
um, and then she's like he's like that's when he talks about the receipts. And then y'all, he keeps going. Irina, you're gonna be an amazing person one day. I forgive you, and I hope the world does too. And I was like, oh my God, she's burning. He actually just lasered into her, and her head just exploded. It's
Boom.
just so brutal. I was dying.
It was brutal.
This was my favorite part of the reunion, bar none. Oh, he just destroyed her. There's this last little bit. But that's what the moment you brought up when Vanessa said, "Did you continue to play along if you were over it the first moment you saw him?" And that's when she said, you like you were just talking about. She said, "I had a panic attack, and they told me that I needed to go to Mexico."
Which
Um,
I agree with Vanessa when she said, but you're rolling your eyes and you're doing all this stuff while you're there. And then this is kind of when, if there was like a little of the ashes, if like a little worm of a human was beginning to sprout up, Vanessa Lachey took her shiny high heels and stepped on her when she said, but remember, you talked about people making fun of your face and bullying you. You knew how that felt, and yet you did it to other people. And she just took her food and squashed on the ashes and
oh,
just
she's like,
killed her.
you knew how that felt. You'd been made up, then you were still a bully. Yeah, that was
It
rough.
was good. That was good.
Um Anyway, y'all, and then Bliss says, and there was a DM sent. If you thought they were done, now they're actually taking her ashes and like peeing on them.
Mm-hmm.
They're
Mm-hmm.
just sprinkling her dead ashes around, and like they made food with her ashes and like ate it and like crapped it out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's because Bliss basically says there was a DM sent, you dodged a bullet to Bliss. And then Bliss says, but this was such a blip in our relationship that it doesn't really matter anyway. And then she said, you can have panic attacks and blah, blah, blah. And I understand that, but it's hard to receive notes like that. And when you keep acting in cruel ways. And that's when they swept the poop ashes out of the way and threw it in a ditch.
Yeah.
And then she was never heard from again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Micah's over there saying, I need a piece of this too.
Well, Micah, when they started talking to Micah, she said, sorry, I forgot. The pressure was off me. And when she said that out loud, I just laughed.
I think she's going to have a good, at least one other show in her. And I think she's going to get her redemption. I think they're going to somehow redeem her. Do I think she's a kind person? I think Paul was doing his best to say, I decided I didn't want to get married to this person. But he could not say, have you met her?
Yeah.
And
I think that's true. I think that's why with Paul, which was annoying to me, him talking on both sides of the mouth, it's because he knew if he said, although I think a lot of fans would have, but he didn't want to say what he really was thinking.
No, he didn't want to say, she's awful.
Yeah.
She's self-centered. She is extreme. She can be cruel. She's shallow. He wanted to say all that.
I think he did. I wish he would have. I think it would have made, again, I wouldn't have been so annoyed with, that's why I thought it was a missed opportunity on his part, and that I was looking forward to their interaction on the reunion probably the most, because it was he said no, and I thought it kind of flopped.
I'm going to say this. A boy from that part of the world where he's from, you can't talk that way about a woman if you're a straight man.
No, I think that's what he doesn't want to do that. And I think that he, probably the way he would say it, knowing Paul, would seem very unemotional and cold.
Totally.
Because he does lean towards that. Yeah. I mean, his words, I'm very intellectual.
And I think that's what was frustrating me about Vanessa, kept going back. We're going to talk about that in a little bit.
Well, we're at Paul and Micah now.
Oh,
yeah.
We're right there. We talk about the video, which Vanessa quickly dispenses with. God, I wrote so much for this.
Vanessa asked her, would you get married? Would you be married today if he had said yes? And Micah cries and basically says, yeah. And then they talk about, and Micah seems, I don't think Micah's the best person out. I don't think she's Arena, but I do believe, I think a part of, unless she's that good of an actor, she seems legitimately upset that they're not married. Yeah, I believe that.
I don't know if she's upset that they're not married. I think she is still very personally hurt by him, and he humiliated her.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if she's upset.
I think she's also upset because she didn't know. It's not fun to be let go of a relationship when you don't fully know why it happened.
Totally.
And so she's in the dark on that. And
I feel terrible for her. Even though do I think she's the greatest person? No. At the same time, no one deserves that. No one. Maybe Arena.
Yeah, I do. I think for someone like Micah talks about, when they talk about kids so much, that's pretty brutal for you to say that she's not nurturing as a mother.
And I think that was total bullshit on his. I think
it's passing the buck.
I think he did not want to say she's shallow, she's vapid. I could never have her as the mother of my children.
And she's just not he couldn't even say she's not nurturing to me.
Yeah. And then he's like, I'm just saying I didn't bring that out of her. What he was trying to do, y'all, is be Mr. White Knight. What it came out, though, was really, he just was pandering to it. And
he annoyed me the most in this reunion.
Yeah, I could see that. I understood where he was coming from, but he just dug himself deeper and deeper and deeper.
And he seemed like I went, wait a minute, are you a guy that doesn't want to share his feelings and doesn't want to be the bad guy? So we've had this before on Love is Blind. So you you never talk about the thing that really is bothering you? Is that who you are in a
Mhm.
relationship? Fuck
Yeah.
that.
I don't think he ever I don't think
So that I
I
just
don't
want to say, I'm sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
no, I was
It
gonna say,
glitched out. I thought you weren't talking.
I don't think he ever wanted to marry her in
Possibly
his heart.
in his heart. I think maybe he's trying to convince himself. That's why I don't, some people feel like I don't think she was, I think Vanessa, I think Vanessa wasn't, I don't think she showed favoritism towards Micah. I don't think she came after Paul. I think she was right when she said, "It seems like you're dodging the issue." And I think she saw the kind of, she wanted him to just, I think she probably wanted him to say, "She's vapid and I
Yeah,
don't want to be with her." But
he's never gonna do
if
that.
you believe Paul, it looks like he's being pressed by her. And I didn't see that.
It's not even pressed. I feel like my issue isn't the way she went after him. It's that she was very selective about who she went after.
Yeah.
I was kind of
Um,
I thought that was kind of warranted. After a while, you could even see at one point Nick kind of looked at her like, "Are you going to keep doing this?" Um and she's like, "I'm sorry. I just." But at one point, it's that it seems like there were Paul and Marshall were the ones who got the brunt of it, and everyone else got a pass.
It's hard to be a fan of the show and be a host. Like we would not. I know people say all the time, "Oh, Jake and Maddie should host 90 Day Fiance." Yo, we'd be terrible host. Like you would
up,
be bad. I would be
up,
bad.
up next, the miserable bitch from New York
That's
and
not what you want to
Johan.
host. You don't want a host that has that much of an opinion.
What do you got to say for yourself, miserable bitch?
A host should a host of any type of show, but especially these shows, should be a point of curiosity.
I totally
And
agree with you.
so
That's why I don't think they're good. I think they just need to be
I think
put
she
out
has
the
moments where I
pasture.
really like her, but then she becomes too much of a fan.
Yeah.
So it was basically they we Vanessa kind of talked about something missing with Mike, and we find out that they did try to date after the show. I
Yeah.
guess but they were open, but it never really happened. And then I was confused. What did Micah say that she never heard until Friday, like literally 2 days before the reunion?
The I think that she heard what Paul said about her, about not being a nurturing.
Oh, until the show dropped on
Yeah.
Friday,
Yeah.
she didn't know that, and that's why okay, okay.
I think I wrote down again. They kept pushing Paul to say, "I'm like, he's not going to say she's a soulless bitch."
But he should have told her. Yeah.
A man like that is, who is said to say it's made it worse because this idea of you can't talk about a woman like that. So he's trying his best, but it makes it worse.
It makes it worse.
And instead of, because of his background in science and because he can speak well, but it kind of turns out to be nothing. It makes it worse. One thing, yeah, he tried to explain it as, I couldn't see us as parents, and he thinks he's letting her down easy, but it's making it worse.
Make it worse. Just be
So
honest.
I was trying to see his intention.
I mean,
Um,
it's crazy when I actually, after she said it, I start to see maybe Shelby was right. Because when they're talking about Shelby, I mean, Micah's like, she has terrible deliveries. So do I. But when she said, again, we didn't see this, but my friends asked, what do you love about Micah? And Paul said, I don't know. That concern seems natural.
I
Oh,
don't
that's
remember it
fair.
being exactly that. I think he said, she makes me blah, blah, blah. I don't think it was, I don't know.
Maybe there was something we didn't see.
Yeah.
And then I did enjoy that, like, Paul's whispering and Vanessa stops and says, wait a minute, what are you whispering about? I love
Zach
it
and
when
Paul.
people
Yeah.
I love it when people do the shit like that in tell-alls. And Zach gets so angry. And basically that's where Zach again, he knows he can't say fully about this as a guy, probably, but he
Yeah.
says what you saw behind the cameras is not, it's just a little bit of what you're seeing. We talked about that. He said it sounded like you were never going to marry him ever. And Bliss was like, well, what we know beyond the edit is it seemed like you weren't. And Micah was trying to say, I'm upset. So they were kind of like, why are you upset now, Micah, about this? And she's saying, I'm upset because I just found out that I'm not a nurturing person.
Can I push you on one thing?
Mm-hmm. I'm just reporting what they said. No.
If Vanessa knows what happened beyond the edit, because they're the producers,
mm-hmm.
why is she asking this to reinforce the edit?
You know what? That's a good question. It makes me wonder, do the Lacheys see more than what we're seeing, or did they just see what's the edited show? Well, but do they see just the show that's edited, or do they see more?
That's what I'm saying.
They act as if they, or are they saying this is what the audience is seeing, so this is what we're going by? I agree with you. There's a problem with that.
Isn't that duplicitous enough?
No, yeah, I'm agreeing with you. I'm saying, but the way they act is what they see in the show is all that they see.
That's a big argument for me that they should not host this show if they know more than what's going on behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they're pressing this, if they're trying to get to the truth of the matter, what is truth? Like Jesus said.
I guess I'm not bothered by it when people are all up in arms about it. And I think because people, again, like you said, people believe this show, and it is in some ways, it's higher stakes and so real. But I guess it doesn't bother me because I look at it as exactly the same as when you see Andy Cohen host a housewife shows. He knows what's on the cutting room floor too, and we're fine with that. But like you made a great point. We all know that that's just amateur drag queens doing drag hour, and it's camp, where this is so real stakes.
I would call this as being the highest stakes of any reality show.
Because people get so invested in the show.
So if there's a concept, now I feel like I'm in epistemology. If there's a concept out there of the truth, and we're trying to quote unquote get at it, and the Lacheys know more truth than everybody else, but they're still acting like we're still trying to find the truth, is it disingenuous?
Mm-hmm.
Again, these are big questions.
And I do not know the answer. I don't care, if I'm honest, when it doesn't bother me. I'm kind of like, because I feel like, honestly, this reunion show, the show is disingenuous.
I agree.
I enjoy it. Don't get me wrong. I love this show. It's a great season.
What I'm saying is, I don't think Vanessa can be a fan and be a host in that way. I don't know if she can kind of emotionally try to pick this. I don't understand when you're saying that. Which sounds like she's coming at it from that way.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, but y'all can write all the letters and fan, but it ain't changing. I'm telling you that now because they making that bank.
There's a petition on change.org. I don't think that they'll listen, but if they get 200 million, maybe they might.
That makes me laugh that someone feels the need to start a petition to have Vanessa. I hope they at least sign
the Lacheys. The
Lacheys. I hope they at least sign some. They also sign a petition about gun reform in our country, please.
I think that's on the backside of the petition.
Women's rights.
Well, sadly, gun reform is controlled by Washington.
Yeah.
The hosts of Love Is Blind are controlled by the production company.
Yeah, true.
So that is there could be a petition for that because that's public opinion.
One could argue what's more powerful though, the way this fucking show's edited.
I would agree.
Crazy.
I would agree. They talk about Shelby, and we've already said that Shelby was right. And then Zach, going back to Zach, Zach said that's when she says Paul's tried to make peace with you. And this is interesting because I feel like if anybody on the stage, Zach is speaking the truth. He would have no reason to lie.
I don't see why they have a reason to lie. I guess Zach said there was women on the show who told, who said that she never planned on marrying Paul.
Y'all, at that point, Tiffany sank down in her chair and her eyes got big as saucers.
But she denied it when they all denied it except for Arena. When Vanessa asked him, I was shocked because I was like, "Come on, somebody knows."
I don't think they wanted to comment. I don't think any of them want to make enemies, especially with the other women.
No.
And so I think they were just trying to stay out of it. And then Bliss says, well, we knew what happened beyond the edit. Bliss was the only one who basically said, yeah, she did that. So Micah and Bliss, y'all aren't going to be friends. This isn't going to be like the Girl Squad of season 3. They're not going to be doing pictures together. I don't think. I think they've left each other. The season 3 one was the one who was just so close.
Yeah.
I think they kind of did it for social media, though. Anyway, and that's when Zach says, you heard that she didn't want to marry Paul ever, blah, blah, blah. And anyway, the last little bit is he visited in Arizona and then quickly ended the relationship. Yeah. So that was it. So there's no the thing about this reunion, I didn't think anything got resolved. We did learn some more information. I didn't think anything got resolved. Because the Arena thing didn't feel like it.
Well, at least yet, Marshall and Jackie got resolved only because Marshall resolved it.
Well,
on his own.
True.
But yeah, I agree with you there. Yeah. Which I'm pointing out the fallacy of that. They weren't even there to resolve it. Marshall just
he resolved it on his own, but there was no resolution for the audience. I should say that because the resolution for the audience would be for two people talking it out, and then one person saying either "I'm sorry" or "We're gonna we're gonna have to leave it here."
I think the Kwame, Chelsea, and Micah situation was resolved.
Oh, you mean the love triangle? Yeah, mm-hmm. I agree with you.
That was.
I think that might have been the only thing.
Well,
we should move on to the next part of Marshall, Jackie, and Josh. So we're starting this segment with a never before seen moment between not anybody who's here, between Jackie and Josh, who did not get engaged, who hooked up afterwards, and who pretty much everyone thinks both Josh and Jackie are assholes on the outside world.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just wondering, why do you think we want to see this?
Because they're going to make Love is Blind spinoffs. Bet you and me.
And that's why I think this is super disingenuous. They're
wanting to build a world, for sure.
Well, but I don't know if you can have it both ways. If you're trying to create lifelong couples, which is what it seems like they're trying to do, and you have it both ways?
Honestly, I don't think you have a leg to stand on this because you watched all of Perfect Match. You're part of the problem.
I did.
I'm calling it.
But I'm talking about there's the actions of the show, and then there's the intentions of the show. The intentions of the show should have never had these jackholes on. The intention should have never had Josh on. It's regardless of he was
but
together.
Jackie ended up being with Josh, so they did need to have Josh because Jackie was with Marshall. But I think they should have been this. I don't understand why. Why do you have to have the interview before? 90 Day Fiancé has people Skype in all the time. Why do this pre-interview? That was bullshit.
I think it was because they could not count on her not to swear or go off.
But it's Netflix. You can say fuck, but they were worried about from the live component, yeah.
No, I think they were worried about, I also think they were worried about her having to talk about saying that he was basically sweet, or let's get down to it. She basically called him gay.
And why can't we
talk about it?
Say what they said.
But instead, we have to nudge Marshall to say that he called her. He said she had a strong jawline, but we never said what he called her, which was obviously a slur beginning with T. But he said, I never said that word.
He said he never said that word. But yet Marshall even himself didn't want to, it's like he didn't want to say what she said about him. Because again, I guess, I don't know if it's men don't want to say that, God forbid someone said that you're gay.
Well,
it was just
I think it was more, you said it before, he's moved past it.
Mm-hmm.
But to bring up one side of it and not to bring up the other is unforgivable in my estimation, because Vanessa said what Jackie had intimated, but she wouldn't say anything about what Marshall said. Or what Jackie said. I'm sorry. She said what Marshall said.
What? Who's on first?
Let me clarify. Vanessa talked about what Marshall said to Jackie, basically said she had a strong jaw. But the texts that Jackie's leaked text said, oh, we've seen the texts, y'all. Nothing. Didn't say anything about him. Not one word.
Well, she said, she actually said, we're not going to bring those up here. You can go read them.
That's cowardice.
And then
that's cowardice, straight up.
Why didn't Marshall say it? Because Marshall started to say it, and then he danced around it. It's like, well, I'm not going to. And I'm like, just say that. She said you had a little sugar in your tank. Why can't you say that?
Yeah. I personally think, but I think attacking him for not wanting to say anything and trying to pigeonhole him was just one of the most unfair things of the night. I just don't know why it was done. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I thought you were finished.
No, I'm done.
I think she should have pressed him on what he said, but she should have done that with the also on the other side. She should have read what was said in the text. If Jackie's not going to be there, so that way it's all out on the table.
Yeah, totally agree.
So, yeah.
I feel like this was really unfair to at least 3 of the cast members, this reunion.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not creating, if reality is different in the edit than the edit showed, which in this case, the edit showed what we saw was, and no one mentioned it.
Yeah.
And anyway, y'all, the only thing you need to know is this scene was like, it's natural, like poop. They're just as classy as they normally are. So.
Well, apparently, Jackie brought up in the interview, they talk about it.
If you didn't watch, let me clarify. Jackie and Josh could not be with them, quote, today.
But we don't know why.
Yeah. There was no answer.
I want to know why. And so she brought stuff on social media. She said I don't even want to go through it all. She said she wasn't cheating and all that, blah, 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 blah. But again, like I did think when Vanessa said, she's like, but when you didn't go to the wedding dress thing. So yeah, you didn't cheat on, but you knew, like you already knew you didn't want to be with him. And so then she brings up the name thing and all that. They bring up the ring thing that she kept the ring.
Yeah.
I do think again, she said that he wanted it. And Jackie says, well, he wanted to keep the ring because
he was going to propose to another cast member.
But I did want Vanessa to be like, but if you're not going to marry someone, shouldn't you give that back?
Nothing.
And propose the question.
Did you hear her? Maybe I was the only one who took offense at this, but she said, Jackie, do you remember the moment that Marshall really pushed you and you said, I'm done? That was the way it was phrased.
That's the way yeah. Mm-hmm.
I went, that is the absolute most unfair sentence I've ever heard. You basically say Marshall made you break up with him. Marshall made you cheat on him.
It does seem like that. And that's when she mentioned the derogatory name.
I could not believe she said that.
I think your theory is right as far as they know Jackie and Josh will be on Perfect Match, and Marshall probably will never want to be on a reality show again.
And that sucks. That sucks, I think. Because I don't think anyone gives a shit how bad the people are on Perfect Match. I don't think you need to rehab these people's images.
No, y'all. Arena would be fantastic on I would love to see her on Perfect Match, but I don't
But
really love
I
that
think
show. But
I think it's a really gross brand thing, which makes me want to claw my face off to think about.
well,
That's why it all feels super disingenuous to me. Like this interview felt gross. And
mhm,
when Marshall is just reacting, you put all Marshall's reactions in a carousel, y'all. They were amazing.
they were.
um, and then this interesting thing where they're talking about saying she had a strong job. That seemed like because she said he said that was my reaction to her saying, sometimes she said, you're soft. And I'm triggered by that word because both of us have been called that. And basically saying we're not men because we're soft, we're sweet.
Mhm.
And Jackie lives in a binary of men. If you're not hyper aggressive, hyper masculine, you're gay. And honey, it's just not it.
It's not. Yeah.
But he said, and in response, he's like, I thought it was a joke. I said, well, you have a strong jawline. And, and she's like, she did not think it was funny.
From the way he said, I believe Marshall, the way that they were, I think they had they had that type of relationship where they're always kidding with one another, and he probably only retaliated that way because she called him gay and effeminate, and it questioned his masculinity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because Marshall does have he can't talk about it. Like I don't. Yeah, Vanessa didn't say, but also Marsha really skirts the issue. Like he doesn't want to dare mention its name. And I
Yeah.
wish he would just say, well, whatever.
I think about homophobia in the Black
No.
community.
I
Yeah.
know why. I'm
That's
just
why.
saying, yeah, I know.
I did like it when Vanessa said, you have the guy next to you and you kept the ring. And y'all, I don't think it was possible to paint Jackie as someone who was a victim in this. It just didn't work. And I think we tried to put some coats of paint on it. And then at one point, she basically is talking about how romantic it is with Josh. And is there anyone in this world? And Vanessa's like, oh, look at you two. For anyone who's seen this, who could actually think this is good?
Yeah.
It was disgusting.
It was so weird. It felt like we were on another show.
That's what I'm talking about. It was either so fake or Vanessa loves toxic guys like well, maybe she does because it was announced that Nick Lachey has had to do like all these anger management classes. Did you see all that?
I did see that.
Yeah. Now we're doing social media. So then she asked them about a baby.
She wants a baby.
She asked them about a goddamn baby. Jesus.
Yeah, the last thing Jackie needs to have is a baby.
That's when I went. She's like, is there any little Joshes or JJs running around? And I went and I wrote down, what the fuck is your ever-loving problem? That's why she burned that bridge for me. I don't know if she'll be able to get back for me, Vanessa. This was rough for me.
Can we stop talking about Jackie and Josh's interview? I don't have anything else to say about them. They're gross. Marshall's responses are pretty much kind of, we've already talked about this. He's mentioned the strong jawline. He mentioned the ring. He said, well, for me, the ring was a signal of my love, and there was no one else that I was proposing to. He said he went on a date with Keisha, I don't remember her.
Keisha. I don't know.
Was she in the house?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
They didn't specify that.
He's dating someone. He said he's dating them now, I think.
Well, he said we explored it.
Oh, okay.
But we said we couldn't move forward. And then that's where Marshall, she was like, well, what do you want to say to Jackie? And that's where Marshall basically just buried the whole motherfucking thing right there. And was just like,
I want to distance myself.
The fuck on. Yeah, let's move the fuck on. This you and me versus me thing needs to die immediately. I love that sentence.
And I love that because he just kind of he made everyone else look so fucking petty. And I went, thank you.
Because he was like, you've got another dude and you're happy. So let's not go like.
It was It was
You're happy.
classy.
I'll be happy. Let's be happy. Stop coming at me.
Yeah.
But then he did bring up, and we talked about this before. I do feel slighted again because I didn't get a marriage proposal, and she's not here at the reunion.
Yeah.
What a coward.
They're both cowards. And it was such a softball interview. I'm still scratching my head about it.
And look, y'all, we can't, in one hand, we can't judge people for softball interviews because we have no power when we get a
We're not a serious show.
Well, I was gonna say, when we get a celebrity, like, we're just grateful that some of these networks acknowledge we exist.
I'm sucking everybody's dick on our interviews.
Yeah.
You want to hear me? You want to hear?
Oh, Mother Debbie, you look wonderful today.
Yeah, y'all, we're not going to give any hard questions. That's not the kind of show we are.
Yeah,
I think this show does purport that for a reunion.
No, yeah, I feel like there should be.
So we're doing Love Is Blind Cribs. It is so fucking boring. Chelsea
and Kwame's place is pretty, but it's not. I mean, that we see Zach. It just gets Tiffany or Brett. We see Brett and Tiffany sleeping. It's cute. And then that's where I kind of wrote down the producing is really the edit of the video or the villain of all of this. And then we get kind of just these qualifiers of, what we do find a little bit of information that Kwame says is she's like anything else. And Kwame again talks about, why I was going through that process is I was a nomad. I lived 6 months out of the year out of the country. That was the life I lived. And so I had to figure if I wanted to. So y'all, it wasn't about him moving from Portland and Seattle. It was about he lived out of the country for 6 months. So again, I was like, that would have been good information to know.
Yeah. What was interesting is Vanessa even said, people hate when you are happy. Why are they not understanding this season? It was like the Lacheys themselves. This is when I went, the call is coming from inside the house, y'all.
I just don't know why the show was like, let's again speak to all the people on social media. I don't understand. Like, can you imagine?
They're talking about the edit. They're talking about the edit. They weren't talking about.
No, yeah, like I'm saying, like they're saying people don't want you to mean like the audience doesn't want people to be happy. And I'm like, can you imagine if Matt Sharp tried to respond to all the people that were upset about things on 90 Day Fiancé?
No, it's ridiculous. That's why it feels, the whole thing felt, I think it's because, in a weird way, the Lacheys are in a position of power at that interview. And it feels like they're trying to be friends, and it's just not that. It's not that. And it feels weird to me.
She said, after the first season, we distanced ourselves from the show.
I got that too.
So I went, oh, okay. So I guess because they came more host or it was, and I went, that's true. We saw them a lot more in the first season.
Tinfoil Hattie perked up when she said that. I was like, ooh, tell me more, sister.
Because I think something that would help Love Is Blind, I actually think Love Is Blind would be, in some ways, even though I love this season, I'm ready for season 5. I do think having like a host would help this show more in some ways.
No, I think they need to be like Married at First Sight and have some experts. I think that would really help. It would change the format a little bit, but it would make us feel less helpless.
I actually think it would speed. When you have a host, you would have a host that could do a bit of the heavy lifting sometimes when a plot doesn't have enough gravitas. Anyway, Bartiz has a baby, y'all. Yay.
Boy, why did we need to see him? And then there's more baby talk. Then we go around to everybody, and they have to promise their first baby to Vanessa Lachey.
They do. Mm-hmm. She wants that baby.
This is fucking gross. By the end of it, I was just like, I'm fucking done, and I slammed my computer shut. She's just gonna check everybody. By the way, if you're a woman, you have to take a fertility test next season if you're going to be on Love Is Blind. That's the rule.
That's a
You
little
have to be able
thing.
to give her your baby. Fuck.
I still enjoyed it. I didn't hate it like everybody did. I didn't think it was well, no. I think I expected it to be boring because people said, "This is so boring." I went, "No, it's not boring. It's not what I expected, but it wasn't boring."
I think it was just bad. It wasn't boring to me. It was disappointing, and I had a really hard time figuring out what story they were. It seems like they were telling a different story than I had seen. That they were using they were trying to get in social media stuff, but they were also trying to use their edit, and I didn't quite understand that.
I think again, yes, the Lachey's are part of this, and so they're taking the brunt of it. But I think if you step back and kind of have an 08 kind of um, lighthouse moment, and you look at the structure of the reunion and this show, and if you think about from season one, because she mentioned that, so it made me kind of look at the span of the show. I think the producers, the show, it's getting in its own way.
I agree with you. I totally
I
agree
think
with you.
and so this was a good season, but it makes me worried. The problem with when a show becomes this much of a hit and thinks it's this much of a rock star, it feels like it can do anything.
Well, it's like what's his name? Chris Colin is like Ed Harris in Truman Show. He's sitting up there with his hat in that and going, "Yes, I've seen him. I've seen them grow up, and
And when you
now
yeah,
I want them to have their baby."
so I can have their essence.
Yes, it's weird. Cue the thunderstorm.
Y'all, that's the
That is it.
reunion.
That is a wrap on season fucking 4.
The great season.
I hope
Great
this reunion
season.
was everything you wanted. You can finger bang yourself with your Cheeto fingers while you're listening
I,
to it.
I did and still enjoy it, and just kind of the masochist in me. And I'm excited. Tell
I'm
me you're
talking
not
about
excited for season 5. Tell me
I'm
you're
talking
not.
about our show because they've been wanting
Oh
our
yeah,
recap.
this was boring. Yeah, no, it's fine. Maybe it's fine. It wasn't. But I don't know. I had fun talking about it with you.
I like talking about this.
Yeah. But tell me. I know you're angry, but tell me you're not. Are you excited for season
Of
5?
course I am. Of course I want to watch it. I only get enchanted after when people start to rewrite history and my fairness principles go out the window and I start being warrior for everybody.
Yeah, I kind of you kind of got my tinfoil hattie going because now I'm excited for what if it is next season that just Vanessa Lachey is like stealing sperm and just trying to
I'm
insert
telling
it in.
you, it was fucking sick. I just it's so fucking tone deaf too with people and babies. Like, shut the fuck up. I'm
She
surprised
shows up
Nick.
at the party. Hey, who's fucking tonight? Can I watch?
I need to see everyone's pregnancy tests. Turn them over now. Is your baby blind? Babies are blind.
All right, everybody.
That's the next time, y'all.
Hey.
You have to impregnate someone without seeing them.
They could be like Alex's cat. Y'all be careful. Your cat will go blind if it has herpes. We learned that on You, Me, and My Ex.
The Handmaid's Tale is blind.
Which, by the way, y'all, if you are on the $8 tier, enjoy You and Me, My Ex. That first episode was a doozy.
It is messy
It's
this
messy.
season.
I'm excited.
The people the comments on our Patreon were unhinged. Mostly about April. y'all want her to be on the y'all want her to be on a target of the poodle bus. I agree. She's acting victimy this year, but she was so awful last season. She was so awful.
She was. It's good. All right. Well, I'm a little sad. I don't want it to end, Pooh.
I'm ready. Oh, Ultimatum Queer Love is coming up.
It looks
in
good.
May.
I think it's going to be a much better show with queer people, don't you think?
These masculine kind of fuckboy types are going to be love bombing a lot of these women left and right. They're not going to know what's happening to them.
It's going to be messy.
I think this is either female identifying people or non-binary identifying people, but everyone who identifies as queer.
It's going to be good. It's going to be good.
Ain't no drama like girl drama.
or girl they drama.
I
Ain't
guess
no
so.
drama. Ain't no drama. All right, everybody.
Ooh.
That's the show. Thank
Hope
y'all
the
for hanging with.
alcohol's flowing.
It is. We've got again so much coming. So if you subscribe for you still have, if you just subscribe for Love Is Blind, you still have the rest of the month.
And you have Ultimatum coming up in May.
Well, at the end of May, but even before in mid-May, you're going to have Selling the OC.
Selling Sunset. No, Selling
Sunset,
the OC.
I'm sorry.
Selling Sunset comes back May 19th. I think all our episodes will probably drop close to them because we get that early.
Because we get that. So our $5 tier is we're just going to keep raw dogging you.
Oh, yeah. You thought you were tired.
Thought you got a break.
But y'all, we're tapping at the back door saying, I'm ready for round 4.
All right.
Tongue pop.
All right. I love you, Pooh. This was fun. This was a really good time.
It was
fun.
All
right, everybody. We'll see y'all. Well, we'll see you on other shows. But until then, we're going to leave you this. Remember, if you're looking on the social media or if you're, I don't know, if your boyfriend is actually telling you that you've got a strong jawline or your girlfriend's telling you got sugar in your take, it doesn't matter, Poodle, because what does matter
is love pregnant.
Pregnant.
Pregnant.